What's up, everybody? It's your boy MEEK. And first thing I want to tell y'all before I get into this video is Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas, Merry Chrysler.
If you didn't know already, we had two dope-ass kits drop this month. My Crypto RC20 preset pack, 75 of the greatest RC20 presets in the market, to be honest with you. Use it for everything in your beat. And then TB and T-Will, you know what I'm saying, gang, the boys, they came out with the Apartment D Premium Melodies sample pack, 30 of the dopest melodies in the market for literally all styles, like all genres. So definitely go check out those products. That's just some of the new stuff we released, but make sure y'all go peep the website for those awesome producer holiday gifts, you know what I'm saying? Also, make sure you stay tuned because Producergrind has got some presents coming for all you producers. So today I wanted to come through and show y'all some of my guitar sauce and how I go about making guitar loops. I wanted to squeeze in a quick video before Christmas to show you guys a little bit of an in-depth look at how I record guitars, some of the processing that I use, and some of the VSTs that I use, which you definitely want to stick around and see. If you've heard any of my loops, you definitely know I care about the sound of my guitars, so I'm going to show you guys a little bit of how I process them. Let's go ahead and get into the video. Yeet! Okay, y'all, let's get started. I already kind of had an idea in my head. I was playing around earlier and was coming up with some guitar ideas. So before I lay that down, I just want to show y'all how I have this thing routed. Right now we're just on my guitar bus section of my template. So basically everything I record goes into this this track of the playlist, and whatever I like just gets comped down and dragged down. And the cool thing about these is they're all routed to the mixer. So like whatever audio I drop on there should be good, you know. See what I'm saying? So with all these tracks laid out in my record track, what I do is I put a tuner, and then I use Guitar Rig most of the time, but I also use another program called THU Slate, which comes with the Slate Digital All Access bundle, and this is more like a real amp simulator and how I do a bass simulation, which we'll go over in a minute. I'm going to go to a preset over here. I usually like the jazz. I've actually been liking the country ones because they're really clean. But for the jazz ones, the white jazz is really good, or the jazzy chorus is really good. And yeah, I'm going to show you guys my guitar. So the guitar I use is an Epiphone Les Paul Studio. I've had this guitar for a while. It's pretty heavy. I have this guitar plugged into input 1 on my Scarlett. So to make sure that you got audio going into the track, make sure that you go over here to your input and make sure that you put which input your guitar is plugged into, whether it's input 1 or 2. Don't do stereo because we're not recording a stereo signal. We're recording just a single mono guitar. So after I have that, I've already pre-tuned this guitar, so we should be good. Alright, so I thought that was a pretty good take. We're going just gonna keep it. Alright, so next thing I need to do is like create a little lead for this thing. So I just like to loop it and then just jam out until I find something dope. I thought that one was pretty decent. We're gonna go ahead and keep it. I really like just the second part of it, so I'm gonna just keep that. All right, so next I'm gonna add a bass, and actually how I add a bass is with this same guitar, just with the preset from this THU Slate. There's a preset in here. I think it's called Fake Bass Guitar right here. When I load this preset, man, I don't know, but it turns this thing straight up into a bass. So it's pretty cool. And with this guitar, I like to put it on the rhythm setting. The rhythm setting just has more of like a deeper, warmer tone. So I'm going to add a bass to this now. I swear, man, that thing has like changed my life when I found that preset. Last thing I'm gonna do is just add some really ambient, just chord strums in the back, you know, something to just give it more of a vibe. Alright, so we got all of our guitar parts. Now it's time for some arrangement. And for arrangement, your first 8 bars is like your intro, which has more of like your solos and like a melody line. And then the second half of the loop is more of the very open space for the artist and or the beat maker to just go ham and do whatever they want.
A few moments later.
So after I did all my cutting, I did my little arrangement. Now we're gonna get into mixing, and thank God for this template, because now all I gotta do, everything's already routed. I just gotta kind of throw it in, you know. So first thing I like to do is start with a little bit of a surgical type of EQ. All right, I usually pull up a FabFilter Pro Q3. I'm doing this on my first guitar. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a brick wall low shelf. Cut everything under 100 hertz or even to 150, depending on what your tone is like, you know. This one I think we're gonna go down to like 125 because I do like some of this low that's going on right here. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a high cut brick wall as well, and just cut everything like past 15. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this feature in FabFilter where I'm going to analyze the harsh frequencies. Just by playing it, you'll see it points out some of the more louder frequency points. And what you do is you're just able to catch that peak right here. You click onto it and you pull it up. It shows you, and the more you turn it up, the more you'll be able to hear those ringing frequencies. So after you do that, you click on it. I like to do dynamic EQ at this point. I'll take this dynamic range parameter and just bring it down. So that every time that harsh frequency happens, it goes down. So a quick thing you could do too is if you just make all your points, what you can do is you can highlight all of them at the same time and do dynamic at the same time for all of them. For this one, we want to make the cue a little tighter. So now that I got rid of a bunch of harsh frequencies, I'm going to brighten it up. And this one, I'm just going to use the parametric EQ right here. And now we got linear phase mode, which is super tight. Take everything from about like 5K and up. So now that I did this, I'm going to kind of listen for my other guitar. Try to blend it in with it. Here, I don't have to do too much crazy stuff. It's not too important. So I'm just going to use the EQ over here. Find that nice mid frequency for the solo. Give it almost kind of a vintage feel, you know? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that RC20 on there. I'm going to go to our crypto RC20 preset pack, which I'm going to have a link for down in the description. I'm going to go find an effects or an instrument preset that's going to work for this. This one, maybe bring up the wobble a little bit. So our bass guitar comes in at 9. Thing I want to do with my bass guitar is immediately bring it a little more mono. So I'll merge it a little bit to the right, about 30% merged mono. Go to my EQ, and we'll just pull up a parametric for this one. And you see we don't got a lot going on past, what is it, like 3,000? I want a little more of a thump in my bass, a little bit more boom, so I'll bring up that 300. You know, for these basses, a lot of the tone and the timbre sits around the 1.5 to 2K range, so. I'm also gonna do a low cut because again, we're not trying to introduce too much low end at the moment. You know, I want to be able to have like a nice sub bass for the verse or for that intro, but then when the 808 comes in, I want it to be the really subbiest thing in the tracks. I'm gonna add an isotope trash, and let's see if this trash can give me some more fuzzier effects with my bass. Maybe I'll go to like a drive, maybe a drive one. After that, I just do my leveling. With basses and loops, you don't want them to be too loud. The loudest you want to go is -3, but I'm gonna see where it sits best. And since that lead, I want it to kind of be more on the sides and a little bit spread out a little more. I'm just gonna literally do a stereo separation right here on the mixer. I'm gonna check this other guitar that we got. This one could definitely use some surgical EQ. You could tell there's some harsh frequencies going on, so I'm gonna pull up Pro Q3 again and do the same thing I did for the other guitar. Cool, so I found all my harsh frequencies. I'm gonna bring them down. This one's got a lot of delay going on and everything, so I definitely want to keep a lot of that high end and actually brighten it up a little bit. So I'm gonna add a high shelf. All right, same thing. I'm gonna add another EQ to just. Wow. Okay, guys, we're back. My crashed, but I was able to save it and get it all back. So, now that I've saved it a bunch of times, let's get back to our mix. I think the next thing I was gonna add was like a chorus, something to make it seem bigger. So we'll go to effects. Chorus. They got a nice little chorus. Where a lot of the magic happens for me is in the guitar bus, which is where I group them all together. So first thing I'm gonna add is a Slate Digital VMR, or the virtual mix rack. That's how I emulate analog sound, as well as use some of the really great tools that Slate Digital has to offer. If y'all don't with Slate Digital, definitely with them. I am not sponsored by them at all in any way. I'd be down to though, Steven.
You're not getting shit.
So I have a blank virtual mix rack open. I like some of the presets in here, especially with the brand new FG2A console. So let's go ahead and see what this clean guitars on the classic strip sounds like. That's cool. Let's try on the vibe strip. Let's see what the guitars on the vibe strip sound like. I know the vibe strip makes stuff sound a lot more saturated. So. All right, we're getting a lot of saturation. I'm not liking it. So let's go ahead and go back to that classic strip clean guitars. It was pretty good. So with this preset, I really don't have to do too much. But so I want to show you guys what I would do from scratch. So if I were to do this from scratch, the first thing I would add is some type of glue for the bus. So I'm going to throw in our virtual channel. And that immediately just kind of glues everything together. You can see we got some reduction happening. If you want a warmer sound, just turn up that drive by a 3 dB every time and then mess with that input. You know, really whatever sounds good to you, but these are some good parameters to mess with. The next thing I would mess with is probably an EQ, and I really like their the FGS. It's their good analog EQ. They also got a good guitar preset in here as well. And if those highs are a little too much, just make sure you bring them down over here on your dBs. But I do want to add a little bit of a bell curve on top. So it has that little bit of sparkle, okay? Next thing I'm going to add is a FGN. The other thing I've noticed that's really good on guitars is actually a distressor. Add a distressor. And this heavy guitars preset leveler. And if that's too loud, just mess with this mix knob right here is what I notice works best. So as you can see, we're definitely getting a lot more saturation, a lot more color with those EQs. Really, really, really awesome. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a modern compressor in the middle of this. So probably right before the distressor. Just to introduce some parallel compression. This vintage one sounded okay. Let's go and throw the modern on here. Let's see how the modern sounds. Added some noise, added some really nice character. And to bring it all together, you just throw a trimmer at the end. The trimmer helps kind of ride the gain of the sample a little bit so that it's not clipping. So this is without the mix rack. This is with the mix rack. So this is how I love to get that real analog saturation / coloring. It's really nice. The next thing I'm going to do is how I'm just going to start messing with the effects and everything. So I'm going to pull up RC20 and go through some of my presets in the crypto pack. Now we got this crazy little effect going on. And then at the end, I'll just put something like a soft clipper just to make sure that we're catching those peaks. Turn up that threshold too, just so we make sure we got all of our dynamics. Actually, I'm noticing this bass could be a little louder. That's basically how I make a lot of my guitar loops from scratch. So some things I like to do once I'm done here, if I want to kind of add some more spice to the loop, I'll go in and change the pitch. Usually I do that with the kilohertz pitch shifter right here. And a cool thing that you can do with this is you can actually adjust the mix knob on this. So I'll actually take the pitch, I'll bring it up all the way to 12, so it's an octave higher. I turn that grain size down just so we're not getting a lot of like jumpiness from the pitch shifting, and then bring that mix down. And usually between 10% at the most is like a lot, but you'll notice once I play it. Check it out. So that's one cool thing you could do. Another thing I like to do is add shaper box. And with the time part section of shaper box, you can definitely get really creative with these pitch and these reverse patterns. So. And it kind of adds some of those reverse swooshes in the back. Another thing that's cool to add is something from Kilohertz called Snap Heap. I added this stereo talk box a preset. Kind of made it sound more wide and had some like vowel movement. And I'm just going to play with the mix here. Alright fam, so I hope y'all learned some of my guitar sauce and got to see a little bit of an in-depth look at how I like to approach some of my guitar loops. And what I'm going to do, y'all, just for Christmas, I'm going to drop this loop down in the description below. So make sure y'all go cop the free loop that I just produced right here. Hopefully you can use some of this sauce and utilize it in your guitar loops, because right now guitar loops are hot. Everybody wants guitar loops. So don't sleep on those kind of melodies. Shit, man, other things I have to say is go cop the RC20 preset pack that I used in this video. Go cop the Sleek Digital All Access bundle. No sponsor right there. And also make sure y'all stay tuned, because Producer Grind has some gifts coming under your tree. You know what I'm saying? Last thing I gotta say is Merry Christmas to y'all. And thank you guys so much for getting Team Producer Grind to 40K subscribers, guys. We are killing it. We have some more sauce. Even more craziness is coming from Producer Grind, so stay tuned, stay blessed, and much love. Yeah, yeet.